who are watching and not reading chat, I have to explain my sigh and my exasperation. Clumsy in chat posted, instead of healing, if you receive a certain amount of health, you enter a cart.
Oh my gosh.
You're not supposed to spoil our changes.
I know, right?
Anyway, sorry.
Yes.
Back to the important things.
Okay, so I think it's worth bringing up the doc now. I hope, I didn't actually get a chance to look. I hope the doc has all the notes.
Yes.
Yeah, it does. Okay, so this will be in the patch notes. We're going to go through it because this is basically the explanation of what the change is, why the change is, and kind of the kind of philosophy behind it.
Yeah.
So yeah, first off, why address healing in general? One is it's a new player trap. The necessity of like anti-heal itemization, the fact that anti-heal items exist. New players don't know to build this, so they get absolutely stomped by things that have healing. And then veterans are able to completely shut down healing, and they understand like how they can counter it, so it's balanced in that sense.
Yeah.
But they have to build this item. And it also means that healers don't ever feel like they have a consistent strength. Arbitrarily, they could get clipped by an AoE that slightly touched them, and suddenly their whole identity
What
is
is
now
this?
gone.
This
It's
is
also
how they're
fueled with
addressing the
effect.
fact that healing
So the
has
goal
been
is to-
wildly
I have
too
to
strong
time
in
my
Smite 2
heal
pretty
to
much
when
its
this
entire duration.
Debuff
Yeah.
expires, and it's like just sitting here waiting to do the thing I want to do. You know.
So the goal is give healer roles a more consistent presence. So rather than jumping around, we're going to remove anti-heal, and we're just going to adjust the healing numbers so that it's a more kind of flat, consistent amount.
Yeah.
There will still be ways to anti-heal in a little bit. God specifically will still be able to provide anti-heal at a reduced amount, but item anti-heal is largely gone. And similarly, give lifesteal roles a more consistent presence. Characters have high lifesteal amounts, and Anubis is the primary example. They should feel like that part of their kit identity functions and works, and they can rely on it, but it's not ping-ponging them super to the extremes, and it's also not immediately shut down the second anyone builds anti-heal.
This isn't getting rid of healing, brother.
All right, well, I'm going to scroll down. What is going away? What are
Okay.
we removing as a part of
Let's
this
go.
change?
Don't go show the whole thing.
Oh,
Let's-
not the
let's
whole
do a
thing
little
yet.
bit.
All right,
Yeah, a
cool,
little bit.
cool.
Let's go through this bit. Okay.
Okay, all anti-heal from items, just gone.
Yes.
It's not going to be a required build component for anyone. We reduced lifesteal on items to be around 25 to 50% reduced. The general goal here is that we think this is about the amount we need to nerf this effect for it to feel balanced in a world where anti-heal has been removed. Out of combat, this is going to be functionally a nerf to your lifesteal, but in combat, you're going to have the strength knowing that what your lifestealing is going to be the amount that you're
But is buying anti-heal
all
really a
healing increases
counter
on
build?
Items will no longer
Considering
provide direct increases to
you
healing.
have to
So
build
the
it?
God of Asclepius World, the Typhon's Fang, those items were there to even push it.
I don't know
higher
how I
to
feel about
fight
this either, but I
against
mean, is
anti-healing
building
more.
Divine really a counter
Again,
build?
we want this
Or
to feel like
counter
it's a
building?
consistent thing that you're building towards and able to use.
Everyone builds it pretty much every
You have
game.
to build these items to make your healing successful or your lifesteal successful.
Yeah. All right, and then we've reduced item healing and God healing.
Yep. So item healing is going down by about 30 to 60%, as is God healing going down by 30 to 60%.
Removing
The
it just
range
seems
is there to
lazy.
account for a few
Removing
things.
it changes
So,
the
for example,
functionality of healing in the
Achilles
game. Doesn't
is
seem lazy to
level
me.
1.
It's a new route that we can
His
test
healing
to
is
see if
not
it's better
something you
than
really build
people
anti-heal
having
for
healing
because
and
you
people
don't
just
have
buying
anti-heal
anti-heal.
to save the
That's
game.
not really
Largely, that's
intricate
not
to
being
me.
changed too much. And
If
same at
everyone
max
has
level,
Divine,
Achilles,
then the
he
healing
brings
is always what it
conditional. He
is.
has to activate an ability that
New
requires
players
you to follow up and
don't build
attack.
anti-heal,
The healing he's
so the
providing
healing
is
is
not
always
gonna
OP,
stream into full
and
health,
veterans build
so it's
all
getting a
anti-heal,
lesser adjustment
so it's just
versus
always
someone like,
anti-heal. It's there's no difference.
I'll do Sylvanas just because he isn't in the game yet, right? Like it's a
I'll take an out-of-the-box
cooldown
solution
ability
as
that
well,
just
agreed.
Instantly hits everyone around you and instantly heals them with no other conditional component required to it. It's also something that you would absolutely build anti-heal against the Sylvanas. That's being reduced more than the Achilles heal would be, because we don't want this just to be like this is one of those things where you can't just do a 50% across the board and call it a day.
It wouldn't feel good.
It has to be contextual to the character. In cases where we did, and just before, because we'll have like a what do we add section, because right now I'm just talking a lot about removing things.
Yes.
For the characters who were more nerfed, so Aphrodite would be one of those examples, we've given them other utility buffs to compensate for the fact that we've lowered this amount by the amount that we have.
Yes.
So just for context on Aphrodite, she's getting more protection sharing. She has a lower ult cooldown. And then I think there's one other thing that we did. I just can't remember off the top of my head right now. But like Cupid got an additional component, Baron got an additional component. So like those characters that got
They're
more
taking
healing nerfed
anti-heal
got changes.
off
Same way that,
off
Aether's
items,
item that got
and
more
also
healing nerfed
reducing
has a
healing
new completely additional
to
component.
change
God
the
of
way
Asclepius has a new
healing works in the
completely
game.
additional component. So
because
think we can
at
go
a
on to the
new
next one.
player
Cool.
level,
yeah.
new player level, they don't build anti-heal often, and healing is just OP and broken. And at a high level, anti-heal is always built, So it's always countered, and if everybody's always building anti-heal, then technically anti-heal and the healing in the game is always at a static amount. So again, it's irrelevant. So to make it so like at a new player experience, they might not be building correctly to counter the healing, which means the healing characters are absolutely broken and not fun to play against, right? And you're like, well, you have to build anti-heal, and then once you build anti-heal, everybody buys anti-heal because healing is so strong, and if everybody builds anti-heal, then the healing and anti-heal don't exist. They just cancel each other out to a new set of formulas. They're getting rid of anti-heal off items and scaling down the amount of lifesteal and healing in the game to meet what is likely to be the same output, but you don't have to just always have it built every game to have that consistency of gameplay stay the same, that gameplay loop.
Healing in particular.
Yep.
Is this a good change? I have no idea.
God
I haven't played it.
Anti-healing is the last point.
Yes.
Yes.
So all God anti-heal is now going to be consistent. It's going to be 25%. It will if it gets
Yes,
applied,
exactly. It was either your team was applying the 75% anti-heal or they were applying 0. There was no in between. It was either you're in a game where nobody's applying anti-heal or you're in a game where they're applying 75%, and both options didn't always lead to fun outcomes. So if they just get rid of anti-heal and nerf healing and lifesteal, that can change and give us a new way to play this game, which might lead to a more fun way to play the game. Is it going to be better? I have no idea. I've never played Smite like this in my life, but
because we think that's okay on God strength. If that were to be an item, we feel like it would become a mandatory item, and that's what we're trying to avoid.
Yeah, I think the another god that is known for their anti-heal capacity is like Opwash.
Yes.
When we eventually get to Opwash, maybe he would have an exception to this 25%.
Yes.
But it's just like if a god kind of incidentally anti-heals as part of their kit, it's 25 now.
Yes.
Cool. All right, let's talk about what we are adding now. We talked a lot about what's getting removed.
A lot of cool stuff.
What we're adding. New lifesteal items.
Yep.
Up first.
New lifesteal items. You're just going to have a slew of new lifesteal items. I think we'll go over all of them today.
Yep.
So this is more interesting to
lifesteal
me.
items
If they're giving us new items, but the caps are just different, right? If I apply anti-heal, I'm not going to apply 40%. I'm going to apply 25, but because all healing is lower. But then they're starting to add new lifesteal items, and it makes it more fun. Even though like just the idea of removing anti-heal items and whatnot sounds odd, and I know people hate change, I'm willing to try this because I think the lifesteal issue the lifesteal and healing we've been running through for the past like years hasn't been incredibly fun.
A whole slew of new healing items. If you want to play the more healer type
new
role,
healing items, new healer focused items, new lifesteal items.
So this would have been like your Lotus Crown. This would have been your did that get changed to Lotus Sickle?
I think it did at some point.
Yeah, right. Like your rejuvenation rod, like those types of effects.
But like how many times have they changed stuff? They've changed healing and lifesteal like 50 times over the past like 4 or 5 years, and nothing has felt good.
All right, next on the list, adjusted.
Is Afro dead? No, Afro's getting a bunch of buffs.
Let's go down a little
Yeah,
bit.
so this is
with protections, lower ult cooldown to make it to compensate for the
Brawlers
less
is-
healing that she gets on her 3
It's off counter
specifically.
to
So a
healing,
little bit less healing on the 3,
and
more utility in
Contagion
the
is
rest
a
of the
soft
kit.
counter to lifesteal.
So it actually
They're
honestly
good
might be
items on their
better.
own for what they do when we get to them.
Because I don't think her
But
healing was
when
that
you
strong
face
in
a
general.
healer,
Because if
when you
you're,
face lifesteal, you're
this is
gonna
an
get extra
example. If
perks
you're
that
playing
make it
Aphrodite, people are buying anti-heal, right? Right? Because every time you see Aphrodite, the whole team's going to have anti-heal. So I don't actually think this is going to affect your healing much per game. You might actually be able to heal more because it's going to be less anti-heal. I don't think that makes her OP, no. That's the thing. I don't think that makes her OP because I think it's going to just be a different way of playing these characters.
Oh, keep them as is. The only anti-heal item that currently exists that's not coming back is Ruinous Ankh. That one is very
They aren't
clearly
getting
defined by
getting rid of anti-heal on the kit. They are just nerfing
and
it down to
you might use that
25%
item
instead
in
of
the future
40%
as, like, a
on
different
character
type of
kit
thing,
anti-heals.
But for now, that's gone.
All right, next up, item compensation for nerfs.
Yep.
And god compensation for nerfs.
So Amanita Charm is a good example. So Amanita Charm is losing a lot of its healing. It only goes like I think 12% over a slightly longer window now, rather than the 20% that it did before. But it's
They
not a
haven't
new
even talked
component
about
where
any
it's
god
spore
changes
guards
yet.
you, which actually means that like you get spore guards on you that when you get hit by an ability, that ability will deal less damage and knock a stack off. So it gives you new utility that isn't just increased healing. That's what we kind of mean by that effect. Same with god compensations for nerfs. This is the type of Aphrodite stuff I got, where she shares more protections, her ult is on a lower cooldown, Baron, his movement speed got increased, stuff like that, right? Like, that's the other kind of compensation for those types of characters where we want to make sure that their utility
Yeah, lower
still
ult
feels high,
cooldown, more
given the fact that
protection
we are gonna
sharing,
be
yep.
reducing their out-of-combat healing pretty significantly.
All All right, I will keep on going. God's gaining anti-heal is our last point.
Yeah.
Yeah, this came up actually in some of the discussion with the ambassadors because we told them about this pitch like 2 weeks ago, and they gave some feedback. And one of them was like, it'd be cool if there was also more options for anti-heal opportunities on gods, because we think bringing gods to the roster is like a cool way to counter these types of things, especially in like ranked draft lobbies. But there's also a very limited amount of characters who can provide anti-heal. So we went through the characters, looked at what characters.
That is a funny
made
point, though. Like, it was the thing, though, Mike. Like, you either built anti-heal and you were always fighting into 75% anti-heal, which means that exchange of healing and damage was always a consistent number, or there was none and it was always a consistent number, right? And neither of those were very healthy. A game where you didn't have any anti-heal and they had a lot of healing, whether it was because your people just weren't building it, is really lame. And then as the healing comp, always fighting into 75% wasn't exactly fun either. So I understand like people's first idea when they see this is, what the fuck? Why would we do that? This is like, right? Why would we get rid of anti-heal items? Why would we this just seems lazy, like somebody said. To me, this is a better route because in the past it's actually worse worse overall for me to go, oh, I have a healing comp, so I'm always fighting into 75% anti-heal, or oh, they're not building anti-heal, so we basically guaranteed win. We just win because they don't build anti-heal. So I don't know if it's going to be better. I haven't played it. I'm just saying, just like as a look, this is a big enough change in a shakeup that I think is more interesting.
Bow, very similar bow. It gains a little bit of cost, but it gains a whole additional 10 strength, which should just make it a more interesting item.
So you can still build healing, and there will be new items to build healing with, right? There will be new lifesteal items and new ways to use lifesteal. It won't just be with the intent to heal from damage. There will be more interesting.
Well, first off, it had to lose Ruin because we also lost the tier 1 and tier 2.
Yes.
So I just wanted to make sure that Ruin wasn't in the title. But yeah, so Brawler's Beat Stick. And so this one is it's one of the items that gives you strength or intelligence, whichever you have more of. And we're actually leveraging that a few places here so that there's variety in which characters can build this. It also gives you some protections. And it goes, if you've not taken or dealt damage to, god damage in the last 5 seconds, gain bonus 75% of the above passive when dealing damage. So if you are the first striker in combat, you get a big boost to strength and intelligence, whichever one is higher. If you took damage instead, gain 30 protection. So this is the...
Yeah, I don't understand the divine...
Defensive based off how you entered combat.
95 and 10% in scaling.
Nice.
So good on its own. If someone
10% in scaling on the
If you think this is a cool
lightning
item,
bolt,
we got a lot of really
I know,
cool
right?
Like, I think
I guess that could be good.
Like the depth, it's gonna be interesting. You'll see. Sorry.
Because that would be like 80 bouncing. Right? Like, yeah, that's a decent amount of damage. 10%. If you get like 700 power, a 70 lightning bolt is bouncing around. Yeah, that could be a lot. What's up, Katao? How you doing?
That like, oh, I'm against a high healer draft lobby. I can get something that makes me feel good versus putting the other healer down, because we want to create that consistent healing role, but let you feel like you can build something. The other one's a little bit more punishing towards the other side, so we'll get there with Contagion.
All right. You mentioned it, Contagion. Up next, what's going on with Contagion?
Yep, so Contagion is now being changed to a passive. When enemies in hand or ability damage you, apply 1 stack of Contagion to them once per attack. So if Anubis ults you, only 1 stack gets applied to Anubis. If you base attack or apply hard crack control to the enemy with Contagion,
I'm nervous. I'm not really.
2% of your max
I think this is a really interesting change that can change the way Smite is played for the better.
If someone lifesteals 100 health from you, immediately apply 5 stacks to them.
Ooh, okay.
So this is they try to steal life from you. You're contagious. Don't do that.
Yeah.
Wash your hands, everyone.
Yes, please wash your hands.
But this gives it it's a different max health scaling option. It has different ways of proccing, and especially in big team fights where you get a whole bunch of people kind of together that hit you, you can punish them for having hit you if you can follow up with a basic attack or hard crack control.
That's really cool. Next up, let's talk about, you mentioned it earlier, but the ruin items are being removed.
Correct.
So ruin
That's an interesting item.
Poison,
Much more interesting than it was.
Ruinous Venom. And I think that is it for the anti-heal section. I have a big block of just general lifesteal item changes, tier 1, T2s, and a couple
just to quickly go over this, right? This is essentially our passive, reducing lifesteal from items by about 50%. These are the tier 1 and tier 2 adjustments that need to be made for that to work. And then the items that are existing lifesteal items, how are they changed to address this kind of adjustment? Yeah. Again, these will often look like nerfs to the items, but you're also not expecting to be completely anti-healed from these effects anymore.
Yeah, because we saw a lot
They
of times people
removed
were anti-heal,
anti-heal
like 75%,
while
right?
also
Like,
nerfing healing and
All
lifesteal.
right, moving right along. Let's talk about the Reaper getting a little bit of a little spoiler.
Removed
there.
anti-heal
Yes.
from
Let's talk about the
items,
Reaper.
yes.
So this is actually unrelated to everything I've talked about. Sorry. The Reaper, Serrated Edge, and Devourer's Gauntlets
Massive nerf?
came up in feedback as these items just feel
Not
very
really.
similar. I think this actually came up in Titan Talk. We'd already done this adjustment, but it came up in Titan Talk. They feel very similar. Like they are largely.
That actually
a math
stinks,
problem
though,
for
no?
Which one is the best
No,
one
if you
want.
decrease
They
the
have
amount of
slightly different
this
ways
is
to
this is
trigger
what
it,
I'm
but you're
explaining.
basically
People
gonna
start to
trigger
get
them with
confused
their
by
attack.
the math. If you decrease all lifesteal in the game by 50%, but you've also taken away the 70% anti-heal, you are still netting more lifesteal than you've had in the past by the items not being there, but equaling the amount of difference between the 0% that a lot of people had or the 70%. You were always fighting into 0% anti-heal or 70% anti-heal based on what you were doing, right? Based on what the people bought. You could just immediately stack it and they could almost get up to the maximum amount. So, like, there was not an average there. You were either fighting into full anti-heal because you had a healing comp and everybody knew how to counter it, or nobody was buying anti-heal and you were fighting into a full healing comp. If they decrease the amount of lifesteal and healing you get by about half, and have also reduced the so you buy Divine, right? You apply 50% anti-heal to somebody. If they've already nerfed everything by 50%, the math is still the exact same. So it doesn't serve a purpose. It just makes it so it's not as frustrating if you don't have any, and also not as frustrating if you have 70. Both options weren't great. Having 70% anti-heal didn't feel fun for the healers at all. It felt like you served no purpose, right? There was no utility to do there. It was just, hopefully I disengage and go heal somewhere. And if you had 0%, fighting into the healing wasn't fun. So, do I think this is bad? No. Do I think it's better? I have no idea. I haven't played it.
But it scales with your lifesteal to be more offensive. So as you stack other lifesteal effects, this effect also gets stronger.
Yeah, that's super cool. All right, and then I think the last one on the list you mentioned is Devourer's Gauntlet. So
Yes.
getting a new, some new effects here.
Yes. So it is no longer getting stacked by dealing damage. This is kind of a revert to an old Smite 1 item. And we think that the reason we wanted to do this was actually just, this gave it a very distinct item opportunity, which is, this is I want to actually stay in lane. I want to farm.
You know how many
optimize
times I
my
would
farm,
say,
I wanna be
too?
really good at this,
You
to
guys
be
can
able to
read
have
that.
these
He's just going to
powers.
say why he changed it. But you know what it would be really frustrating, too? I'd be building a mid build, or I'd be building something, and I'd go, God damn it, I have to build Divine, and that would mess up my entire build path. And I would just have to buy it, because it's being played at a high level. So it's just... It just wasn't fun to build. And this is why, like, with the pen changes, I didn't mind either, because... Well, they took it off all these items, and they put it all on one item. And I was like, well, pen isn't fun to build either. The two most unfun things to build in the game right now were, and are, in the past, pen and anti-heal. It's just like, oh, I have to grab this item and 4 different items so I can get my full pen online, and I need Divine. It messed up build paths, and it made the building of the game generally unfun. If they just... Because, like I said, if you're at a high skill level, everyone had anti-heal, and everyone had every anti-heal item. So the math in those games is always going to be the same. Your anti-heal is always going to be fighting into 70%. And then at the lower level, you were with the healing, you were fighting into no anti-heal all the time, so the healing characters were just unkillable and unfun, and that was bad for new players. So it was bad for veteran players because we always had 70%, right? So the game was what it was. It was always at 70%. For new players, if they didn't really know how to build, didn't make sure to buy anti-heal, they're fighting into healing comps, and that's just as boring.
Increasing the lifesteal, increasing the cost.
Again, though,
Generally, lifesteal became
do I
more-
know this is going to feel better? No, I'm just saying, off just looking at it, I don't think it's a dumb change. I find it very interesting, and I think it's a very good test to see if this is a more fun way to play Smite with healing and anti-heal. Do I know it's better? No, I'm just not writing it off to say this is dumb or scary or bad. This looks interesting, and it's something that I want to play.
Again, this
I could play it and go, this doesn't feel good. Right? That could happen. But just looking at it, assessing like the numbers, right? Decreasing healing by 50% in some cases, while also removing anti-heal, which would normally apply at least 50 to 70%, brings us back down to a base. The base then provides you with new items, and you can buy a whole bunch of new lifesteal items and build a whole bunch of new items that are not designed just to give you more innate lifesteal, where you're going to be taking healing based off the damage you do, but actually add in some effects. Sounds more interesting than just having a higher lifesteal percentage.
cool. It has 200 plus 50 per level health and deals damage equal to 300% of your lifesteal and 20% of your intelligence. Your lifesteal heals it. If you would summon another one, instead fully heal your current one and grant it 25% health, attack speed, and movement speed, stack it to 5 times. This does make it grow. It grows in size.
I know.
If you pentakill an enemy team,
That's what she
you will
said.
basically have an immediately full stacked Typhus.
That's nuts. Yeah.
That is able to come help push with you. But if you try and stack this a whole bunch of other people, you're sharing assists. You're not going to be able to get nearly as many of these out. So very interesting effect.
Yeah.
If you build lifesteal, this can definitely.
Pretty cool.
I think I.
Do I know if it'll be annoying or not? Who knows? But I like the. Just keep testing stuff, man. Just keep sending tests.
Attack, and it was attacking really fast because
That's pretty scary, though.
Yeah, it can definitely ramp up. So definitely, you get a little mini siege monster if you win a team fight, pretty much.
That's cool.
It's pretty fun.
Yeah.
The first time I saw it, I was like,
what is that?
going on? Yeah.
How long does it live until it dies? Its logic is that of a minion, so it will fight nearby targets, and then once it kind of loses targets, it will try and run down a lane, and either it will win the game for you, which it can't really do on its own, or it'll die to a tower or someone eventually.
Cool. All right, next up, let's talk about the first new item that we haven't talked about yet, Gluttonous Grimoire.
Yes, Gluttonous Grimoire. So this is a intelligence, health, lifesteal item. 25% of lifesteal healing is stored into your next basic attack that successfully damages an enemy god as bonus damage. If you are at maximum health, store 40% of the healing. The stored amount is capped to 33% of your maximum health. So you can't actually build this up forever, literally one tap someone, but you can do a lot of damage with it.
Yeah.
And this is essentially, we want life. This is the type of item where it's like, lifesteal can be built to make this effect more powerful in terms of damaging, not giving you more healing.
Yes. All right, next up, Sanguine Lash. This is a fun one.
This is more interesting to me.
This is more towards the
This stuff is more interesting to me than just giving me something that gives me more stat-based lifesteal. This is more interesting. Summoning stuff, getting more damage based on lifesteal, etc., etc. This is more interesting to me than just getting more healing based on damage dealt. That's not interesting to me.
This damages a god,
because it's either countered or it's not. This gives utility and strategy around building lifesteal, which is more interesting.
So you can't just walk in a mini wave and immediately reset it. The active is the kind of cool part of this.
Yeah.
You lash out an AoE burst that deals 10% physical health damage up to a max of 500. It can store up to 3 uses and has a cooldown of 90 seconds. So basically, you can lash, and just do kind of a big burst of damage. You can space them out. But the big thing is the more that you're in the thick of a fight, the more that you're taking a whole bunch of characters, the more of these you're going to be able to lash out. And this item's damage will trigger lifesteal, so you will heal from this effect as well.
See?
All right.
So, like, this is why it's more interesting to me.
On the list, Umbral Link.
A bunch of new items.
Umbral Link is a way to essentially share your lifesteal healing. So, 40 physical protection.
You guys can read it, but this is more interesting to me to have. I'm going to get more damage and more AoE type abilities that are going to affect my teammates. I'm going to get like summons based on stuff with lifesteal. I am going to be able to opt into a lifesteal build and then associate that lifesteal with different utilities rather than just getting more healing. Because more healing at the end of the day isn't interesting because it's either countered or it's not. This gives it to where the more lifesteal I buy is going to give me an 8 lifesteal. It's just not going to be as much as it had in the past. It's not directly counterable by just one item, right? And the way to counter it is to have a character that can specifically counter the lifesteal, but the lifesteal will never meet what it was before. So it's not going to be broken, but it'll still be efficient because then you can use the lifesteal with these different items. Oops.
All done.
Which is more interesting
Thank
to
you
me.
So much for the team for supporting me in this mad endeavor.
Yeah, but the item artwork and FX and it's been Kellen getting some audio.
That's a great item. Yeah.
So Daybreak Gavel. This is another one where we use the split scaling type. So this is strength or intelligence, depending on which one is higher. So if you're a strength user, if you're an intelligence user, that'll work well on you. Gives you health as well. And then this is for each unique god healed by healing ability, gain a stack up to 4. Your next ability consumes all stacks to contribute 10% additional strength and intelligence scaling per stack. So if you're able to heal your whole team, this is really good for the characters who can either really consistently heal a few targets or heal a whole team and then do a big burst. You'll just be able to convert that fact that you healed a whole bunch of characters into more damage.
Nice. All right, next up on the list,
Grom's
Heartwood Charm. Yeah.
Item. Heartwood Charm. So this is actually utilizing some new tech that I guess technically Daybreak Gavel did it, but this is more obvious. It gives 400 health, 250 mana, 10 cooldown rate. Your healing abilities have 20% reduced cooldown, and each cast reduces items' active cooldown by 10 seconds. what is a healing ability? We had to define that. A healing ability is any ability that would heal you, which sounds obvious, but we had to make calls like, does Artemis Trap with Aspect count? Does Sickening Strike count? And we thought it was the most fun to make it so that those abilities did count as healing abilities for the sake of allowing some interesting itemization. So generally, if an ability heals, even if it's a conditional for the heal, we're going to count it as a healing ability so that it can be utilized by this effect. Yeah, there's a lot of questions here. Afro 3, yeah, Sickening Strike. Yamoja, they apply her passive, so no. Merlin 3, forgot about. Probably should. Herc 3, yes. Lifesteal does not count. Mordred 1, yes. Nem ult is not truly a heal because we also made the call that it could be anti-heal. It's a health split.
Intelligence has always
Monty,
scaled
yes.
higher,
Altitude,
the
yes.
same way
Purple
magical
Stream,
damage in
yes.
Smite 1 has always scaled
I
higher.
could probably spend most of the time.
Yeah.
In
Could be the
most
rest of the
cases,
show,
yes,
you know?
or I missed
Strength
it,
always scales
or
at a
there's some
lower
reason.
rate,
This is one of those things that
which
we
is
will
why
probably have some
strength
reinvestment
characters
work
generally always have a little bit
and make sure we
higher
guide everything properly.
basic, or
But this is also
have
technically
higher
used by
basic
force, but I
attack
think there's
damage and
other
also have
restrictions
higher
for this type
base
of guidance
damage.
for abilities,
But
like
strength
melee
and or
abilities,
physical
range
damage in
abilities,
Smite
like
1
range cool
has
stuff
always
too,
had lower
so
scaling
this
than
is kind of our
intelligence.
first outing with this type of effect. But yeah, they'll have reduced cooldown. So this is like your World Stone for your healing abilities. The active is your next non-ultimate healing ability will have no cooldown, but deals 50% reduced damage. If it doesn't do damage, cool, you cheated the effect. If it does do damage, yeah, it'll do less damage. This is to prevent like Neath 2 on a high ability character. You could proc this. You could chain this with Mirrodin to get 3 of these. And getting 3 of these at full strength felt a little bit much.
Oh, for sure.
So, pretty good item though.
Yeah. All right. Next up on the list, Rod of Asclepius. You kind of mentioned it, but it is getting some changes here as a part of this update.
Yeah, so it doesn't increase healing anymore. We removed the active that basically negated all anti-heal because that's not really relevant as much anymore. You could keep it to stop God anti-heal, but we gave it a new active instead. So you send a healing snake that restores 10% of your allies' health over 10 seconds. This healing counts as healing from an ability. So you know I just talked about Daybreak Gavel?
Yep.
You could proc this with Rod of Asclepius to get the Daybreak Gavel.
Oh, nice. Cool.
That's what that means by healing from an ability. The snake is sacrificed if the target has 6 debuffs, immediately healing them for the 10% health, and applies all non-damage immunities for 1 second. So this is you proc it on your team. If they get a whole bunch of debuffs on them, no, they don't. They don't have debuffs on them anymore. And we think that this is an interesting effect. Has a high cooldown. We've also playing with a cost here because we think
So
this is, really powerful
is it a
effect. Like, if you proc this on
cleanse?
a teamfight, it's going to be really, really impactful. But this will take a pretty hefty chunk out of your mana pool.
Yeah.
Is it a cleanse or
Breastplate of Valor? Just a small change here.
or a
Yeah,
you
so we
can't
also
take
looked at other places
any
where we had some
more
underperforming items or items that we felt like we could
debuffs.
add a little more spice to. But Breastplate of Valor just felt like a cool one. Health
I haven't
restored
seen
with your
Phoenix
own
Feather
healing
yet.
Also contributes to reducing your cooldown. So taking damage or healing it back up with your healing abilities, it both count towards the same goal of reducing your cooldowns.
Cool. All right. Next up on the list.
It's only
A
a
fan
cleanse if
favorite.
they have 6 debuffs.
So
If they
Regress
have 5, it
Striders, we
won't
gave it a
cleanse.
new name.
That's fair.
But it's the effect that people know and love with a little bit more spice. So it gives you physical protection. It gives you 3 mana regen. It gives you 15.
Shield of Regrowth. Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Great. And passive. When you heal yourself from an ability,
hell
you get
yeah.
a burst of
See, this is
35%
man, this is more fun to me.
over 5 seconds.
This is more fun to
It's
me than
back.
having
Yep.
healing be really
And
strong.
It has an additional cool component, which is when you gain
And
a
it,
movement
that's
speed buff,
that might be
restore
biased to
5% of
me,
your health over 5
but
seconds. It itself triggers itself. So
That's cool.
So when you heal yourself, it will give you the movement speed buff, which will then trigger the 5% heal as well. Or as you get movement speed buffs from things like Stampede or other characters like Baron gives you the movement speed buff, you'll also be able to heal from this. So just has a little bit more application than it did before.
Nice. Cool. All right. And then another Smite 1 item making its way to Smite 2, Vital Amplifier.
Yeah, we think this one's also an interesting one because it feels like a good niche for certain types of characters. It also this is gonna be really good on Guan.
Oh, yeah.
the attack speed Guan side of things is gonna be really good after this. Vital Amplifier, people know and love it. 20% attack speed, 200 health, 3 regen. It also has a passive that works off strength or int, whichever is higher. We try to use this to make sure that as many items as we could reasonably make felt like they could be built on both sides.
I think this is cool. When they gave the feedback to the ambassadors, we were pretty much like the same as y'all. Like, yo, this sounds crazy, but
6 seconds stacking 3 times.
let's test it. Worst case scenario, it doesn't feel
Classic
good,
one
and maybe
item
they
is
add
not
back
worth,
some
so-
anti-heal
I know,
back to
right?
the items again, and
then
maybe
you-
rebuff
another
some,
item
but
that you
keep some of the
mentioned
cool
earlier
items.
on
So
in
that's
the
what you
show,
have
but
to
Amanita Charm
take with a
getting
grain of
reworked
salt.
Yes, so TLDR, I wrote it down there. I changed
I'll let him
the
finish.
heal amount, the tick rate, and the lifetime. This meant it went from 20% over 5 to 12% over 4.5. So it's got overall its healing nerfed. And you have to, you're not going to get as many frequent ticks. So if you miss the tick rate, like that's going to be a bigger deal.
Yeah.
But each time it ticks on you, you gain a stack of Spore Guard. For each stack, when you take in-hand or off-hand damage, reduce its damage by, I need to use the proper terminology, not off-hand damage. You can tell that, like, man, we had to
Basic
get,
attack or ability
Ability, yeah.
damage.
reduces damage by 10% and remove a stack. If it was an ultimate that dealt damage, reduce its damage by 5% per stack and remove all stacks. So an ultimate is less affected by this, and it removes all stacks immediately. Otherwise, abilities and in-hands chip off one at a time.
Cool. All right, and then last up on the list, just some general healing items that we're
Yes.
making adjustments to.
Eris's bow. This is the kind of the same thing that like gods are getting with like their healing and items are getting. This was just has a healing number, so we're reducing the healing number to have it make sense. Shield of Phoenix, again reducing the healing number, so it makes sense. Phoenix Feather, again reducing the healing number, so it makes sense. Notable absences here are Death's Toll and its upgrade. We feel like that item is probably fine as is. Maybe we'll go back, especially the Death's Toll, like this actual starter. Maybe its upgrade does need a nerf, but we're not doing that for now. And I'm sure I have forgotten something because I tried to catch everything in this pass, and then as I was going through and implementing some of the bounce, I realized I had missed a few other things. I'm sure I've missed a few things. Hopefully you guys will catch me on that, but we'll adjust. As we go forward with this, we will be very quick to respond to things that we've missed, or there's effects that we missed, or any god abilities that we've missed.
Yeah,
So,
people in chat are saying Vamp Shroud, Spirit Robe, Yogi's Necklace.
yeah, Yogi's Regen, I don't think got adjusted. Spirit Robe, I think did. I just don't have it on the list. Vamp Shroud did not get adjusted. It probably would follow the similar rules of Death's Toll as to why not. Yeah. Hunter's Cowl, its lifesteal should be adjusted. I think that's just not on the notes. So some of this I think we just missed.
Yeah,
It's not
there's
on
a
the
lot.
notes.
So there is definitely a chance that either I missed it on the 20-page document that is our internal patch notes doc right now and copy pasting it over, or we just need to work together. to get it
I
figured
honestly,
out.
it's probably just I missed on the notes.
Sweet.
And people are asking, like, we specifically called out the one item that counted as a healing ability.
Yes.
Does Eros's bow or the Amanita count as healing abilities?
No.
Or they do not? Okay,
That's
so
a
they would
unique
not
thing.
trigger.
That's a unique aspect to Rod of Asclepius. Amanita Charm and Eris's Bow do not count as ability healing.
Sweet. Well, that was everything that I had on my document. There was a lot, and we didn't even talk about any of the god changes yet. I believe we're going to save that for another show later on in the week, just because I know, Pon, you wanted to make sure we had some time to answer questions, just because this is a large shift that's happening, right?
Yeah, and the TLDR is that most gods' healing will be reduced.
Yes.
So, that's the other part of the puzzle that we didn't go through today, because there's, other things that will be done to those gods as well. But that also was the change in response to there not being anti-heal on
And
items
most of
anymore.
those are just numerical changes. There's not like new items to go over. Like, so we felt like going over items today was more impactful and like explaining what we were doing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a lot of stuff. It's a really big pass. This is we've talked a lot about in the past of like Smite 1 and Smite 2 about doing something with healing, because we feel like it's been an area where we haven't had a great answer. We've just kind of skated by with what we've had going. And I think the combination of actually committing to reducing the healing by a significant amount, but also bringing in a whole bunch of new itemization to help support that kind of play style, give some really fun toys to make it so that when you play that play style, you feel like you're contributing with those effects.
Absolutely.
You need to get a lot done in one go to make this work.
Yeah.
So that's why we took the big swing. If it doesn't work out, we have a whole bunch of cool new item effects.
Yeah.
And we can add anti-heal back.
Yeah.
See, this is the thing why I tell people don't panic. If it doesn't feel good, if it doesn't feel good, all they have to do is just go, all right, we're adding anti-heal back to Divine Brawlers and blah, 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 blah. We're buffing the healing back, and we're
one
keeping
question
the
I
items.
see
That's all.